Hello, welcome back to Fred in the Shed, and I thought it's about time I did a watch review because I haven't done one for years, and today we're going back in time with a modern reinvention of a classic Casio calculator watch. So stay tuned, but first I'll do a little bit of an introduction. So if, like me, basically you're old, you can probably remember when these calculator watches were first introduced. They came out in the mid-70s when we were still in the LED era, and they were something really special to behold. Remember, calculators were these bulky things that barely fitted in your pocket, and here was a computer, as they were sold, a calculator that fitted into a wristwatch, and they were a hell of a price. And even as we moved on to the early 1980s, when LCD watches became the fashion, they were still quite a prestigious, expensive thing to own. And then major manufacturers such as Timex and Casio, they took on the ball, and then the quality started to drop, the cases become plastic, and in the end, by the end of the 1980s, a calculator watch was pretty much a disposable commodity. Once the battery wore out, you kind of threw it away. But with many things in the 1980s, these early calculator watches have become collectible once again, and the prices demanded on eBay, for example, are quite surprising, especially as a lot of these watches have suffered some time-related damage. And I felt I wanted to get one of these watches, and it was really refreshing to go onto Amazon and look at the Casio range and find that they never really stopped making these watches, and in fact they've introduced a lot more of these retro style models, which are perfect kind of examples. They're relaunches really, they're not copies of the original items from the 1980s. Watch I chose is the Casio 611E, and this is the one that we're going to be looking at more closely in this video. So looking at the watch itself, now this was launched back in 2012, and it's just a very accurate remake of the original watch. Now, to give it its full title, and this is quite a mouthful, is the DBC-611E-1EF. And the original was the 1980s, that was the CFX 400. But like I say, I think they've done quite a nice job on this. Now, if you owned one of the original calculator watches in the 80s, when you first get hold of this one, you're going to notice that this watch is quite a bit lighter. It's only 132 grams. And that is mainly because Casio nowadays have done away with the steel case. They use a resin case, which has been chrome sort of plated. Now, I know some people aren't too happy with that. I mean, personally, I haven't got a problem with it. It looks pretty much retro, it looks the same, and it does make it quite comfortable on the wrist due to the less weight. Now, this is quite a big watch, as you'd expect. This way it comes in at 46 millimeters in length, 33 millimeters in width, but it's only 9 millimeters off the wrist, and I've got a very, very small wrist. But it fits my wrist sort of quite nicely, and because it has this slightly curve effect, as you can sort of see there, it tends to sort of wrap itself around your wrist. So the 46 millimeter sort of length, it isn't really a problem, and it's quite comfortable to wear. It comes with the standard Casio 2-year warranty, so there's sort of no worries there. Right, okay, let's have a closer look at some of the functions of the watch. First is the display. It's a very nice, sharp, clear display. The digits, to be honest, are quite small, especially the date. If you are kind of getting on in years, like some of us are, having a bit of trouble with your bins, then it is not the easiest watch to read, but I think for most people, it'll be quite fine. I believe the crystal is plastic, but it is a mineral based sort of plastic, so it should be reasonably scratch resistant. It's worth noting that the watch, it's bilingual. You can change the day in different languages. So going over to the features of the watch, it has a database. Now, this was a big thing, of course, going back in the 1980s. Not something you're really going to use now, but this was used for storing birthdays, telephone numbers, things like that. Like I say, probably not going to sort of use it. So this was the big selling feature back in the 1980s. Having a calculator on your wrist was sort of, you know, something quite special. Nowadays, well, it's not something you're going to use. You've got a calculator on your mobile phone, of course, but it is there, and you can use it. The buttons are very, very small. They're not touch sensitive. You do have to give them a little touch, but it does work. You know, it is a usable calculator, so something that might be of use perhaps to you, but certainly a bit of a novelty now, but it's nice that it works. So that goes back to the main display. So moving on from the calculator, has an alarm function, which is always, you know, always sort of quite useful, and then a stopwatch as well, which again, you know, something that sort of may be of sort of use to some people, but mostly, you know, you're going to be wearing this watch really because of its kind of retro feel, and it does certainly have that look of the sort of classic 1980s kind of sort of scene. So these watches, I mean, you know, if you look at the prices of the basic Casio watch, it's almost got a kind of a cult following, even in the resin format, but certainly the chromium plated and the gold ones are kind of going up quite quickly in value. They're going up, they seem to be going up every year. So currently this watch is available on Amazon UK. I paid less than 30 UK pounds for it, so it's probably about sort of $30, something like that, which is, to be honest, it's quite cheap. It's sort of a bit of a bargain at the moment. But if you're interested in getting one of these, you know, don't hang about, because, as I say, the prices of these retro items do tend to be increasing. So there you have it, the relaunch back in 2012 Casio DBC-611E, a kind of watch that never really went away. Very nice retro thing to own. So I hope this video has been useful to you. Please give it the old thumbs up. That helps me, and that helps the channel. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos from old Fred in the shed. But as for now, I'd like to say thanks for your time. Cheers, thanks for watching, and stay safe, and I'll catch you all on the next one.